All right, what's up, everybody? Happy Monday. It is Pushing the Limits time. Thank you so much for joining us. Broadcasting everywhere, of course, the FM/AM dial, locally here, the Occupy Democrats Network, Washington Press, Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, YouTube. We are all over the place, and we're so glad that you make us a part of your afternoon. And boy, do we have a big show lined up for you today. Yeah, we're going to talk about Donald Trump. Some wins and losses today when it comes to his bond and other topics we will get to. And, of course, his family crying foul. We'll get to his two sons, Uday and Kusei, also known as Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr., coming up here in just a few minutes. Is it true that it appears to be a possibility that Lisa Murkowski might be leaving the Republican Party? We're going to talk a little bit about that, of course. And an update on the shooting in Russia, tragedy. ICE is taking responsibility. Over 100 people killed, more than 100 people injured. Really a tragedy. And Vladimir Putin's response to it is typical, embarrassing, pathetic, blaming Ukraine, blaming everybody else but himself when our own intelligence warned him that this could be happening. We'll get to that a little bit later on in the program as well. Costs $5 if you subscribe to the Occupy Democrats Network. You're supporting what I do. And, of course, subscribe to my YouTube page, which is free at PTL Radio Show. It is Monday, and that means our ever most popular residential liberal, very far to the left, which is quite okay. Chris Wynn joining us.
Calm down. Calm down there, son. All right, calm down. Not very far to the left, but yes, a registered Democrat, absolutely. On the left. On the left.
I like it. Chris is already arguing with me. He's
already
already fired up.
He's all right. You're already out of the gate. You're out of the gate. Getting a little frisky. I get it. It's fine. It's Monday. Good to be here. What's going on?
Good to see you here, Chris. So Trump did have a little bit of a victory today in the courts. I don't hear the two-tier justice system that they always say. It's a two-tier justice system, and then when something goes in Donald Trump's favor, they made the right decision. I guess it's not two-tiered anymore. But it's only a partial victory, ladies and gentlemen. But New York appeals court ruled that former President Donald Trump must pay now $175 million bond as he appeals the civil fraud judgment against him instead of the $464 million judgment. But there is some bad news for Donald Trump. The hush money trial is now set for April 15th. He was trying to delay it. He doesn't want to hear Stormy Daniels testify. Obviously, it'll be very embarrassing to him. He doesn't want to hear Michael Cohen testify. It'll be embarrassing to him. So it looks like that is going to happen. Trump's legal challenges come as he gears up for a rematch, of course, with President Joe Biden. And while all this stuff is going on, right, and we had this horrific shooting in Russia, we'll get to that. What's Donald Trump going on Truth Social? By the way, Truth Social, he's trying to sell his shares starting today. Truth Social has lost money. They haven't even broke even. That's like saying, with all due respect to the WNBA, that it's making profits and you know, selling all these shares. Well, the WNBA has lost money every year. I hate to compare that to Donald Trump's Truth Social because I enjoy the WNBA. I don't go on Truth Social, but I'm just using that as an analogy. So while all this stuff is going on, Donald Trump tweeted out, Chris, or I should say truthed out, "It is my great honor to be at Trump International Golf Club in West Palm Beach awards night to receive the club championship trophy and the senior club championship trophy. I won both!" Exclamation point. And Joe Biden kind of trolling him on social media today saying, "Congratulations on those great awards."
The former president of the United States, Brian Shapiro, always focusing on the things that are important in life, right? The things that are just big, big time news that everybody cares about. Look, you brought it up with respect to the hush money case. This is not a case that is a civil situation, right? In which he's been already been ruled against, essentially. Of course, I'm talking about the the sexual abuse case that has already gone down. This is a criminal case, Brian Shapiro. So this is the trial that's going to start on April 15th is a real one. It is one that'll absolutely impact him with respect to the 2024 election. So that's big news. I guess you can call it a victory for him. In fact, when it comes to the amount of money that he has to pay with respect to the bond. But let me tell you something. For someone to be a candidate for president in 2024 and to have to deal with all this legal jeopardy and everything that's about to transpire with respect to Donald Trump and the court system in the next 5 to 6 to 7 months is rather extraordinary from a historic standpoint and just flat out awful for Donald J. Trump moving forward and his prospects running for president.
And, Chris, while all this stuff is going on, there are some people on the far right, the MAGAs out there, deplorables, whatever you want to call them, Clay Travis is one of them. He's just a complete nimrod. He goes on social media today, and he's making Donald Trump to be out some sort of pimp hero or something, in a positive light, because that's the verbiage that they use, because he said he was going to be paid up in $175 million cash. Ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump in 2020 received hundreds of millions of dollars in donations from MAGA morons out there. Remember when he lost the 2020 election and he said that he was going to use money and he was begging for your money, campaign funds, to fight the voter integrity and the cheating, which, by the way, was not true. He used $5 million of the $300 million plus for that voter integrity nonsense, and he was able to pocket 80% of those campaign contributions to use for whatever he wants. He's basically using your hard-earned money, you MAGAs out there, to post bond because of cheating and lying that he did, breaking law. He's using your money, and people are trying to paint him out to be some sort of hero. He's also been bragging for decades about how he's a billionaire. We know that's not true. He certainly couldn't post the bond of around $470 million, and now it's down to $175. I thought he was a billionaire. What happened there? But he's bragging about how he's putting up cash, and what people forget is that the hundreds of millions of dollars in donations that were given to him when he lost in 2020 from a bunch of, listen, if you donate to Donald Trump when he said, I'm going to fight election integrity and the cheating going on, then you don't deserve to even have money if you're that dumb, in my personal opinion. But I just find it interesting. Now, Eric Trump, Chris, I'll say this. I'm a really good Eric Trump, I guess you could say, translator. I'm really good. I'm really good at
well, that's a skill right there that,
yes.
that
yes.
you happen to have. I think that's unique as far as the rest of us human beings. But yes.
Yeah. So I want to
continue.
On a scale 1 to 10, I want you to be able to tell me, am I a really good Eric Trump translator? So here's what Eric Trump, making the rounds. He was on Fox News over the weekend, crying about how they're mistreating his dad. Have a listen to this.
No victim. This is a crooked system with a crooked attorney general in a crooked court that literally wants to put my father out of business. And you know who they're actually going to hurt? They're going to hurt the thousands and thousands of employees that we have in New York State. These are janitors. These are doormen. These are, people that work in commercial buildings. They're going to hurt those individuals, not the executive. They're going to hurt those individuals.
Yeah, those are the people that are going to be hurt here because Donald is putting up a bond or might not put up a bond or whatever. Yeah, it's the janitors that are going to be hurt. Okay, one more clip, and then I'm going to translate all of it for you. Here you go.
Every single person, when I came to them saying, hey, can I get a $500 million bond? Maria, they were laughing. They were laughing. Yeah. Top executives of the largest surety companies had never seen anything of this size. And what, they're going to start seizing assets? If he can't put up something that's not available in the United States?
Yeah, I guess they were laughing. I was laughing too. Okay, you ready for my interpretation on what Eric Trump really meant?
Little translation time, folks, coming here on PTO live from Brian Shapiro.
Here we go.
What do you got?
Here's what Eric Trump really meant, because I was trying to figure this out and write it out. What Eric was really trying to say was, my dad's a liar. He lied about how much money he was worth. He got fined around $500 million. But now, unfortunately, he can't afford to pay, and he's spinning in his shoes, in his sneakers, his Trump sneakers. But it's everybody else's fault. It's not my dad's fault. Everybody else's fault. Even the bond companies won't give him a bond because they don't trust anything he does or anything that he says. I'm going to predict bankruptcy now for the 6th time. That's my interpretation.
Plus, this idea, right,
Brian
Shapiro? I do like that interpretation, but I'm going to add on to it. How about this idea, Brian Shapiro, of the Trumps being just like the everyman and the everywoman in America, right?
Yeah.
This whole notion that Eric tries to portray there that, oh, yeah, all those regular people out there should feel sorry for us because, you know what? We're just like you, and we're getting persecuted. Are you really kidding me? You really think that, and look, and unfortunately, there's people that are delusional out there. We've used that word a lot, right? In the last few weeks, Brian Shapiro talking about, Trumpers and MAGA people. There is this delusion out there that the Trumps are like the average Joe, the average Jane, right? That Eric and Don Jr. and Donald J. and Ivanka. Notice I didn't mention the kids, all right? The young kids, because we're not going to bring them into this. But I'm talking about the adults, all right? The Trump adults. Like they are not of privilege, right? That they are not, part of the quote-unquote elite, from the standpoint of every measurable that you can have out there. It is so ridiculous, again, to even have that idea in your head. But people believe it. They believe it. They think Donald J. Trump represents them. He's fighting for the little guy.
Yep.
He's fighting for the average guy, the average American out there, Brian Shapiro. And it just isn't true.
No, it's not true. And it's pathetic. I like it how he says no one's ever seen a bond size, this size. By the way, that's a lie. I'm going to give you in real time right now. Eric Trump is a liar when he says no one's ever seen a bond this size before. Not true. First of all, I just had to do a quick Google search just to look this up.
Like 5 seconds probably to find it?
It took me 5 seconds to figure out that in 1987, Texaco had to post a bond 22 times the size of the Trump fraud bond, and that was back in 1987, when 1987 dollars were a little bit different than they were in 2024. And the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that it was appropriate, an error to reduce it. So Eric Trump, again, is a liar. He knows nothing about history, and many of these MAGA Republicans don't want to learn about history, hence critical race theory and banning books and all this other stuff. I got to tell you something. I'm very worried about the other son, Uday and Kuse, Don Jr. I'm very concerned about.
You're very worried?
I'm very worried
Chap,
about. Well,
really?
first of all, is it his girlfriend or his wife now? I don't even know.
I think technically it's his girlfriend, maybe fiance. I don't know. I don't think he's married to her.
Did you see what she looked like the other day in the dress she was wearing? I mean, and she looked like she was on something.
You're talking about Kimberly Guilfoyle.
Yeah.
They're not married, are they?
I think. Did you see what she looked like the other day?
I did not.
Let me tell you something. She needs help. She looks like she's, I don't know. Listen, I'm not a doctor, and I don't want to sound like these right-wing fools who say that, that Joe Biden has Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
But just take a look at what Kimberly Guilfoyle is looking these days compared to what she looked like when she was married to the current governor of California. And I'm not just talking about plastic surgery. I'm talking about her well-being and her health. She looks terrible. Speaking of people that look terrible, John Jr., Biff, as I like to call him. This is a video that Biff put out over the weekend, and I guess he's trying to mock Joe Biden. Tell me if you think this guy sounds like somebody who's literally maybe on my pillow drugs or something. I don't know. Have a listen to this.
You realize it's the highest it's ever been in 40 years. No, but it hasn't gone up. It hasn't spiked since then. It's like, no, but the 40-year high, Joe, the 40-year high, that is the spike. You think that, it didn't go to 12, so that's, a great thing, as opposed to virtually, in my lifetime, the highest inflation rates ever. People are hurting. They're hurting at the gas pump. They're hurting at the supermarket. They're hurting on their mortgage rates when those go up because they're going to have to adjust interest rates up to combat some of this stuff. People are going to get crushed. It's going to be a bloodbath. And Joe has no idea that it's bad.
Was he sucking helium out of a balloon before he started talking?
Look at the gas prices. Look at the gas prices.
That was strange.
Prices.
Shap, that was very strange right there. Yeah.
The best is yet to come.
Yes.
By the way, we're listening to Donald Trump Jr. like he's some expert when it comes to all things economics of the American economy. Period. Give me a break, man. What are you doing?
Look at the gas prices. Why is he talking like that?
No,
Look
I'm
at the
serious.
gas
I thought
prices.
it's either he's holding his. It sounds like he's holding his nose, or that he sucks.
You sound like those one of those.
He sucks some juice out of a balloon. That's what it sounded like.
He sounds like one of those.
I can verify it.
Yeah, it sounds like one of those Tradio, hosts. Buy, sell, trade. It's Tradio. Buy, sell, trade.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
The Monster Truck Series comes to Las Vegas.
Yeah,
You'll pay for the entire seat, but you'll only use the edge.
Maybe Don Jr. has a future in voiceover work. I don't know, but no, seriously, he and Kimberly Guilfoyle are two people that need some medical attention. I don't know.
Stop it. Excuse me. Excuse me. I'm not finished. I'm doing my thing. No, stop it. Stop it.
I'm sorry, Ron.
Stop it.
Can't interrupt Ron DeSantis. You can't interrupt Ron DeSantis. So while all this stuff is going on, obviously, there's a lot of turmoil within the Republican Party right now. There's a lot of people that are leaving. Ken Buck is somebody that's leaving, and there's other prominent Republicans that some of them, it seems like day by day, they're getting more and more tired with the Trump party. Listen, there are MAGAs out there like the Marjorie Taylor Greenes and the Lauren Boeberts. By the way, Boebert held a campaign rally with about 8 people over the weekend. I just wanted to share that with you all. But listen, there are MAGAs out there like the Jim Jordans, the James Comers, and others. They're never going to switch. They're always going to, be loyal to Donald Trump even if they go to jail. But what I'm saying is, while I have never been a Senator Lisa Murkowski fan, I never have been. It's a little too late. However, at least maybe, just maybe, she's coming around and others are coming around. So I love Manu Raju. I think Manu Raju over at CNN does a phenomenal job in getting some of the best audio on Capitol Hill that any reporter can get. He's really good at what he does. And he caught up with Lisa Murkowski in the hallways, following her and pressing her on Donald Trump until I think Murkowski finally cracked. I think she's finally over this MAGA movement. Have a listen to what Lisa Murkowski said a few days ago.
I don't think that it can be defended. What happened on January 6th was an effort by people who stormed a building in an effort to stop an election. I wish that as Republicans we had a nominee that I could get behind. I certainly can't get behind Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm. Are you considering being an independent at this point?
Oh, I think I'm very independent-minded.
Officially, though, officially.
I just regret that our party is seemingly becoming a party of Donald Trump.
Yeah. You becoming an independent caucusing with Republicans, is that something you're open to?
I am navigating my way through some very interesting political times. Let's just leave it at that.
Interesting. So Lisa Murkowski basically saying, I mean, if you want to interpret that, it's pretty simple. I'm tired of my party turning into the MAGA Republican Party. I'm over Donald Trump. I'm sick of the division. And it sounds to me like Murkowski is either going to leave the party, become an independent, or just retire altogether and leave her seat. It sounds to me it's one or the other. I mean, this is a little shocking because Murkowski's a far righty. But this is a little. She's never said these types of things before.
Well, full disclosure, Brian. Lisa Murkowski, much along the same lines as Susan Collins in Maine, has been at times someone who has come out and, for lack of a better phrase, has spoken out against some of the far right people
but
in
not
her
this
party.
Strong.
I don't know if I define her as a hardcore right winger. She's definitely conservative. I will say that. But there has been multiple times in the past that she has come out and spoken up against not just Donald Trump and the MAGA wing of the party, but also some of the far right, as I pointed out, the far right members of her party. And again, I equate her very much the same way I equate Susan Collins out of Maine, because there's been a lot of comments from Lisa Murkowski along the same lines. Remember when Susan Collins made the comments regarding Donald Trump before the 2020 election, where she was always making those excuses for Trump, saying, well, I think he's going to change. I don't think he's going to, continue to say these types of things or continue to try to take that viewpoint. And Lisa Murkowski is very much in the same vein when it comes to that.
Here's what I'll say.
But just wrap this up, Brian, real quick. This is not surprising at all, because there are a number of Republicans that are wrangling with their own morality, and when it comes to themselves in the political realm. And Lisa Murkowski is just the latest example of that, of people that have, that maybe are making the decision to part ways with what is now a party that is owned. Let's be extremely clear, Brian. Donald Trump is the Republican Party right now. He has kidnapped the Republican Party. It is his party now. All right. The fact that he has still tremendous support, millions of Americans, as well as the majority of Republicans still in the party that support him, regardless of what has happened with him in the last 2, 3, 4 years, and what transpired obviously during his presidency, is a clear indication that it is no longer that the Republican Party that we remember pre-2015.
So obviously there's going to be people out there that, because Lisa Murkowski has turned on Donald Trump, and it certainly appears as though she has, they're going to label her a Democrat or a liberal. First of all, when I say far right, I mean policy-wise, not necessarily Trumper-wise, and here's what I mean by that. She is absolutely a pro-lifer. She is anti-abortion. She has been criticizing Obamacare for years. She wants to make it easier for people to get their hands on guns. She has no solutions for gun control. In fact, sometimes attacks Democrats for wanting an assault weapons ban. And she is anti-gay marriage. So those are all fundamental beliefs of those that are on the far right. There are Republicans that are on the right that still believe that two people that are gay deserve to be married, and they don't have a problem with Obamacare, and they do believe a woman has the right to choose. So Murkowski is one of those people, policy-wise, that is on the far right. And this is important. Why is this important? Lisa Murkowski is not the only one, as you mentioned. There are other Republicans that are, maybe they're not going public with their displeasure with what's going on within the party. Some of them are. And it seems like
some of them come on your show, Brian. They're on your show. Joe Walsh is a perfect example of that. There's a number of other Republicans.
It seems like,
everybody that's in the Lincoln Project, essentially, is Republicans that have bailed on the Republican Party. They still are conservatives, though. They still espouse. You brought up all many of the key aspects that make people Republicans, right? That you call them far right. I would push back on that a little bit, Brian. There's Republicans that believe all those things that you said, and we wouldn't distinguish them as far right-wingers. So we would distinguish them as Republicans and conservatives.
That's what I was going to say as I was finishing. I was going to say that there are Republicans that have, like the Joe Walshes and people like that have come out, but years ago. It seems like today, in 2024, when we got, 6 months before the elections come in November, that there are more people like the Murkowskis. Now, yes, Murkowski has criticized Trump for January 6th and for other things that he has done, but she hasn't really gone as far as to make generalizations about the entire party. She did that with Manu Raju a few days ago, and I believe that she's one of many more in the coming months that are going to start to do the same thing. There are a lot of people that feel like Lisa Murkowski that were staunch MAGA supporters that are not now behind closed doors. They're sick of Trump. They're sick of what's going on with their party. But the difference between them and Murkowski right now is many of them are not going public to the media about their feelings. They're only talking about it privately. I believe we're going to see more people like Murkowski come out here in the next several months against Donald Trump. I think it's inevitable. It's going to happen. And now you have Donald Trump's April 15th case in New York that is going to be taking place, the hush money case. Things are only going to get worse for Donald Trump. They're not going to get better.
Okay, so analyzing what you just said, Brian, how do we juxtapose this idea that Donald Trump is somehow gaining support across the board, right? In which now he's going to be, because he lost in 2020 to Joe Biden, right? The thought that, because what you just described, if we just played it back, what you just said, right? And how do we square that circle that Donald Trump is somehow gaining support when what you just talked about is him, in fact, losing support? Mm-hmm. There's people that are in his party that are bailing on him, and they are no longer going to support Donald Trump, talking about becoming an independent, which they, look, I mean, I get it. I understand what the Joe Walshes and the Amy Tarkanians and Steve Schmitz, and you name all the people that were Republicans that say now, well, it's not my party and I'm no longer a Republican, even though really, when it comes to them, they still have the same internal beliefs, right? The same principles.
Yeah.
They didn't just change their principles overnight. They still believe the same stuff they believe. Yeah. Many of them are still anti-abortion choice, as you pointed out. I don't use that term pro-life anymore. It's a ridiculous term to use for people. They're not pro-life. They're anti-abortion choice, okay? There's people that have their beliefs when it comes to the gun issue, right? When it comes to guns in America. And across the board. Economic, the government should be small government. I'm not going to reiterate every single little thing. But this idea that Donald Trump is some way gaining support, when I talked about this on the show many times, and you have too, that politics is about bringing more people under your tent. Mm-hmm. It's not about losing support. And what you just described in the last 5 minutes is a clear indication that he's losing support.
He is.
So where is this mentality of people out there who are saying, oh, yeah, 2024, Trump's, look at all the books, look at all the offshore books of Trump being the favorite to win the 2024 election. Come on now,
I'm sorry, what was your question again?
I was pointing out that ironic thing, Brian Shapiro, that you just described for 5 minutes, reasons why Trump is losing support, yet there's this still idea out there that people want to push that Trump is somehow the front runner in 2024.
So first of all, let me say this. There's some people on social media that are saying, Democrats are going to be going against Joe Biden. First of all, Can you name me one prominent Democrat that is in office today, someone who's an elected official that has come out and said, I'm not going to support Joe Biden? You're not going to find many. There are plenty of staunch Republicans, even those who ran for president, like the Chris Christies and the Hutchinsons. By the way, Nikki Haley has not come out yet and said that she supports Donald Trump. There are many of Republicans out there day by day that are coming forward saying, I don't support Donald Trump, including so many that worked for Donald Trump in his administration, so many that were underneath him that worked for him. And they say that Donald Trump is basically the last person that they would support, including the John Boltons of the world, including Mike Pompeo. Anthony Scaramucci, even though it was only 12 or 13 days he worked, the Mooch is a staunch Republican, right? And and you mentioned Joe Walsh, but there's people that worked in Donald Trump's administration that will plenty of them that will refuse to support him this coming election. Have you had anybody that used to work in Joe Biden's corner that's come out and said, nope, I can't support Joe Biden, I'm going to support the other guy? No. Even Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s family members, by the way, and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is going to be announcing his vice president tomorrow. We're going to get him on the show next week. But even Robert F. Kennedy Jr., some of his immediate family members, including his sister and his nephew, have not only said that they're not going to support Robert F. Kennedy Jr., but they're endorsing Joe Biden. So
in your own family, Brian Shapiro.
Right. So the idea, Chris, that, there's plenty of Democrats that don't support Joe Biden either. Who? Name me the prominent Democrats that have openly said that they will not be supporting Joe Biden. You are a liar. You are not telling the truth. There are plenty of people that have openly said that they will not be voting for Donald Trump. Even a guy like a Joe Walsh, staunch Republican, has made it very, very clear. So has Anthony Scaramucci. They both said it on this show. Not only will they not be supporting and voting for Donald Trump, but they're endorsing Joe Biden. So, I mean, these are some huge differences here. Yeah. Now, to answer your question, to finish what you asked, back in 2020, Joe Biden easily won the popular vote, right? Yeah. We both voted for Joe Biden. And I didn't vote for Joe Biden because I'm a huge Joe Biden fan. I didn't vote for Joe Biden because I'm a Democrat. It was an anti-Donald Trump vote. The same will be for me because I care about our democracy. There are too many people like me. I know all the Democrats are going to vote for Biden. I know the MAGA Republicans are going to vote for Trump. But the only way Trump can win is if he gets moderate Republicans and independents. If you poll most moderate Republicans and most independents in this country, they are not voting for Donald Trump. And that is why Trump is going to lose the election in November. And, it's going to be, they cheated. It was George Soros. The Democrats cheated. It was a rigged election. You'll hear the same things over and over and over again. But I truly believe the MAGA cult is going to be done once Donald Trump loses in November, and then a few months after that, and then everybody moves on. The MAGA cult, the MAGA stuff, it's going to be done with. Donald Trump is going to have no money. He could be going to jail, and he will always be a disgrace to this country. And he will just go off into the white supremacist sunset, and that'll be the end of Donald Trump and MAGA country. That's what I think.
I'll do you one better, Brian, because your comments regarding Joe Biden, right, and making the equivalency, and it's not really equivalency, right, when it comes to Joe Biden and his supporters and Donald Trump and his supporters, because we talked about this number of times in the show. That's just a different situation, right? Those of us that support Joe Biden, we don't look at him like he's some savior. We don't, I'm not out there.
No, it's not a cult.
I'm a Democrat, right? I voted for Democrats my entire voting life, and because I think they espouse to my principles when it comes to me personally. But I'm not out there, I'm not going to all the rallies all the time thinking, I got to go see Joe Biden. I got to go see Barack Obama. I got to go see this guy, that guy, whatever. The point being is that going back to your comments, what you said, you're talking about Joe Biden, right? And as far as like people turning on him, right? I'll do you one better. It's not necessarily about that, about them turning. There's voters out there that are Biden supporters that are saying, I'm going to vote for Donald Trump, right? If they're Biden supporters and they have issues with Joe Biden and the Biden administration over the last 3+ years, is there a possibility that there's some voters that might have issues, that do have issues with Joe Biden and his administration over the past 3.5 years? Absolutely. Could there possibly be people that stay home? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. My contention is this, though. My contention is there's going to be more people that voted for Trump in 2020 and probably 2016 that are probably going to stay home in 2024. There's going to be more of that voting base that's going to stay home, and that's what's going to win this election. It's not about the people that are going to vote for Joe Biden or Donald Trump. That ship has sailed, okay? That's a done deal. People like me are people like me. They're going to vote. You brought up the reason you voted for Biden is an anti-Trump vote. I will concede. That was a big part of the 2020 election, was that, hey, there's a lot of people out there that just don't want they don't want 4 more years of Trump. So that's why they voted for Joe Biden, right? There's also people like me and, millions of Democrats out there that voted for him, for a Democrat, because we're Democrats. And again, what I just said, they espouse my principles. What's going to win this election in 2024 is going to be who more of the voter base for both men, Donald Trump and Joe Biden, stays home. If there's more, if there's more Trumpers that stay home, which I think is going to be the case, than the Joe Biden supporters that stay home, then Donald Trump is done, and it's a signed, sealed, and delivered, and they're already up against it because you just brought it up. Democrats have won the popular vote for the last couple of decades.
Sure.
Okay, so they're already in a tough spot. Yep. You Republicans out there, you right wingers, you're already kind of screwed. But if what I think is going to happens in November, and more of your people stay home because they just don't want to vote for Donald Trump or anybody, and they don't like Joe Biden, they're not going to vote for him, then they're going to absolutely be screwed.
I just want to address something real quick before we go to break. And then, by the way, we're going to take phone calls on the other side. There's some people, at least I saw one comment on social media. Yeah, how did Joe Biden get all those votes at 3 a.m.? That's very normal. I want to help my some of my uneducated,
terrible takes.
Uninformed MAGA friends. You see, we were in a global pandemic, and there was something called mail-in ballots. I don't know if you ever heard of those before. By the way, no evidence that those mail-in ballots changed the outcome of the election or there was widespread voter fraud. You see, all the mail-in ballots weren't counted because we had a record number of mail-in ballots. Donald Trump said, don't mail-in ballot, don't do it. Yeah, the majority of those were Joe Biden votes. We were in a global pandemic where thousands of people were dying every day. Now, that might be really hard for some of you MAGA supporters out there to grasp, because I know it takes a little bit of common sense to understand that you couldn't count all the mail-in ballots in that time frame, and that's why they were counted in some cases the next day. And again, I know that might be very difficult for some MAGA supporters out there to try to grasp a little bit of common sense. So I do want to open up the phone lines. I know we have some MAGA callers that are waiting on hold, so I know that'll be interesting. How red could Chris get in the face today? The number to call is 702-221-7283. And again, that number, if you want to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-7283. It's 702-221-SAVE is the number to call. I want you guys, to support the people who support this show. And one of those people, Leo with Pioneer Air, he came here with his 7 family members from Mexico. The church has helped get him into this country. And, boy, what a wonderful family. And this business has been around, by the way, since the 1930s. And it's going to be starting to get hot. Certainly in Vegas, it's getting warm already. If you call their number now, you're going to get free scheduled maintenances 2 in 1 year. Just mention the name of this show. You'll get a dedicated hotline, repair discounts, and extended warranties. There is no better than Pioneer Air. Give them a call right now and ask for Leo. Mention this show. You're going to get free scheduled maintenance. No ifs, ands, or buts. 702-703-6346. Again, that number, let me say it slowly for you. Area code 702-703-6346, and ask to speak to Leo. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to take your phone calls next, talking about some good news for Donald Trump. The bond has been lowered to $175 million, and all the people on the right are celebrating, but Donald Trump is actually putting up the bond and using your money that you donated to him. I find that kind of interesting. And meanwhile, Donald Trump is bragging about the senior trophy he won in the club championship. Wow, what a great accomplishment. The Bidens are mocking him for that. We haven't gotten to Russia yet in this horrible tragedy, this shooting where over 100 people were killed and hundreds more injured. ICE is taking responsibility. Just a terrible story. The way Vladimir Putin is responding is so typical of Vladimir Putin conspiracy theories. So we'll get to that when we come back. We got Chris Wynn in studio, and again, the phone calls are going to be coming. One phone line open, 702-221-7283. Take a quick break. We'll be back with your phone calls in 90 seconds. You're listening to Pushing the Limits. Did you know that 99% of air conditioning issues start with airflow issues? Well, guess what? Pioneer Air has your back. They've been operating for 20 years in the industry within the Las Vegas area. Large enough to handle all your air conditioning and heating needs, but small enough to know your first name. Pioneer Air focuses on preventative care, much like wellness checks for humans. They believe in wellness checks for air conditioning and heating systems to extend the life of the system you own. So what are you waiting for? Schedule your wellness check with Pioneer Air today. The number to call is 702-831-4840. Here's the best news. Mention this ad and you'll receive 10% off. Call Pioneer Air today. 702-831-4840. That number again, 702-831-4840.
My name is Hunter Kane, and I'm talking with you for a call to action for our veterans in Clark County. Who is Hunter Kane? Well, I'm a decorated combat veteran, veteran community leader, and candidate for Clark County Commission. Do you know no veteran has served on the commission in nearly 30 years, which is why our veteran homelessness, unemployment, and suicide rates are out of control. So here's the call to action. June 11th, vote veteran, vote Kane for Clark County. Let's rally behind someone who's been in the trenches, who knows the sacrifices, and who's committed to making a real difference. Join the campaign by searching Elect Hunter Kane on social media or go to www.electhunterkane.com.
Voters want safe gun reform, ban military assault weapons, including AR-15s, have universal background checks, and red flag laws. I am Eva Chase, a candidate for Nevada State Assembly District 16, U.S. Air Force veteran, college graduate, progressive independent candidate, fully transitioned transgender woman, former lieutenant governor candidate for Nevada in 2022, where I received 7,212 votes in the Democratic primary. Follow me on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok. Donate to my campaign bot fun account and stay progressive.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yousafzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Residents of Las Vegas Ward 5, are you ready for a brighter future? I would like to introduce myself, Dr. Erica Smith, your People's Choice for City Council. With a vision for progress and the fortitude to make it happen, I am committed to moving us forward. I am not just a candidate, I am a fighter for you. With myself on the City Council, you can expect a real change and a community that thrives. Vote for Dr. Erica Smith, because together we're building a better tomorrow. To learn more about me and my campaign, go to www.ericaforlasvegas.com, paid for by the Vote Dr. Smith Committee.
Buying or selling a home is a huge life event that requires guidance from an expert in the industry and community. My name is Blake Wynn. You may recognize my name as my grandfather was the best governor the state of Nevada has ever had. Growing up in Las Vegas, I've come to know this community intricately. Now, I am raising a family here as well. So I understand all the issues impacting our home and quality of life. As the top realtor for the #1 real estate team at Keller Williams, you can have confidence in my experience, knowledge, and track record. When it comes to buying, selling, or investing in real estate, choose a name you can trust and someone who understands the community you call home. Call Blake Gwynn today and experience the difference of a trusted expert. 702-540-3311.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Monday. Thank you so much for joining us. Check out my friends at Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. Great food, great atmosphere. I tell you, man, they got some great surf and turf over there. I had it the other day. It was phenomenal. Great gaming, great people. I love my Jackson's Bar and Grill. Go over there and say hello to Brian Slotbach. He'll give you some free slot play. Mention the name of this show. Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. We're talking, of course, Donald Trump's Truth Social tweet bragging about winning the senior club championship at his own golf course. I'm sure he didn't cheat. But the hush money trial is starting in mid-April. I cannot wait for Stormy Daniels to talk about the sexcapades of Donald Trump, or the lack thereof there.
Well, you know, Brian Shapiro, you want the salacious details, right? You want all that kind of stuff.
I can't wait to see how Donald Trump finished in under 15 seconds. I can't wait to hear about that. Trump's in a lot of legal trouble. We are certainly discussing that and many, many other topics. And, of course, we'll get to the horrific shooting in Russia coming up here in just a few. Taking your phone calls at 702-221-7283 with Chris Wynn alongside me. Let's start off with a MAGA caller. What do you think, Chris? Should we do it?
Sounds good. Let's check the text line real quick, though. Check out the Occupy Democrats PTL Live text line. Terry Swan chimes in. Biden on his worst day is 100% better than Trump on his best day. A dictatorship is absolutely happening if Trump gets in 2024.
Yeah.
Coming from the text line.
I love that. I love that. Somebody commented on social media, I would love to see you on Hannity. I would love to debate that turd. Oh, trust me. I would love to debate that dad bod turd. All right, let's take some phone calls now. Let's go to Patrick. MAGA Patrick is first up on Pushing the Limits. Hello, Patrick, who is a Trump supporter. Hello, Patrick.
Patrick, what's going on?
Hey, guys. On this bond that Trump is getting himself into, Bernie Madoff, largest Ponzi scheme in history, 40,000 workers, billions of dollars lost for hardworking Americans. His bond was $10 million. Epstein, who didn't kill himself, his bond was $100 million. And in this case here that we're talking about with Trump, who exactly is the victim? The bank said that they would do business
Don't
with
have to be a victim.
They were made
Hold on,
whole.
I'm going to stop you right there. It does not say that there has to be a victim in order for somebody to have to pay fines. So I've heard that argument from many other people. It's a right.
Well, it's not fine. It's a bond, right?
Yeah, but we're talking about he was fined an
You're
upwards.
talking about seizing his assets.
Okay,
who is the victim?
Your assets.
Where's
okay,
the fraud?
first of all, there's no rule or law that says that there has to be a victim. And when it comes to crime in this country, by the way, you can break the law without there being a victim. So that is a ridiculous right-wing talking point.
And the seizing assets thing, man, by the way, is the only reason
Give me an example
Well, time out.
where you can
Patrick,
commit a crime with
Patrick,
no victim.
calm down. The reason they're seizing his assets, correct me if I'm wrong, is because he can't pay the bond, right?
Yep.
He doesn't have the liquid cash to pay the bond. That's
What
the
was
only
the
reason
crime,
why.
Chris? Who is the victim? Who is the victim?
Okay,
And if
I'll
there's
answer
other
your question,
examples of
Patrick.
people-
You asked a question. I'm going to answer your question now, if both of you will allow me to. So if I'm driving on a street and there's nobody else on the road and I'm going 120 miles an hour drunk, nobody's hurt, nobody's injured, a cop pulls me over, there were no victims, so that person probably shouldn't be arrested, right, Patrick? Because there weren't any victims. Nobody crashed a car. No property was damaged. But the person was breaking the law. So please explain to me who the victim is there.
Well, you broke the law, but
Oh,
that is
okay.
a traffic
so
violation.
there you go.
So so you can
So
hold
what
on.
law did he break in his situation?
Hold on. So you just
How
admitted.
can you say he broke the law? He didn't break the law. He was within the guidelines and regulations.
You just admitted that there could be a violation without a victim. So you just made my own argument, and you just proved yourself wrong. They are claiming in a courtroom, and a judge has already decided in a ruling that there were, quote, violations. Your argument to start this call was, but there wasn't a victim. And now I just gave you a case of there isn't a victim, and you just proved to me that, yes, it's a violation. You could have a violation without a victim. So would you like to try another stupid defense to Donald Trump? Because I know you're a huge Trumper. You lost that one. Give me another defense. You're worse than Haba, his former attorney.
You're trying to seize a man's assets for doing the same thing.
I'm not
that every
trying to do
developer
anything.
does.
They're seizing his assets because he does not have the liquid cash to pay the bond, right? That's why they're doing it. It's not
the
because
bond is
they're
a
doing
legal-
something to him. And by the way,
And what happened
you're
to
ignoring
affordable
this.
law?
You're ignoring the whole elephant in the room, which is I thought Donald Trump was a billionaire. I thought Donald Trump had multiple
and judges
hundreds
can
of
just
billions of
decide
dollars,
on
hundreds of
seizing
millions of
assets?
dollars. How you should be able to you should be able to get liquid to pay your bond.
What about a jury?
Right?
A jury. Why not a jury?
What is that?
Why was this decided
Okay,
on by
so
a judge?
let's go with that. Let's go with that. A jury decided that Donald Trump he was liable for sexual battery. If it was a jury, people hold on, let me finish. Let me finish. It's my show, not yours.
Stay on point. Stay on topic.
Pot him down.
No, you're the one that's all over
Hold
the
on,
place,
hold on.
Patrick.
Let me
You're
fin-
all
hold
over
on.
the joint.
Hey, Patrick, your first argument to this call was there has to be a victim.
He's mad because of
Then-
the amount of money that Trump had to pay in the bond. That was
Yeah,
the first thing.
so
that was
Patrick-
his main. He doesn't like that Trump has to pay that much.
I agree.
And
So-
that Jeffrey Epstein and Madoff didn't have to pay as much. That's what.
So,
his beef
Patrick,
was.
let's review. You started this call by saying there had to be a victim. Then I gave you an analogy of a drunk driver, and then you said, well, there doesn't have to be a victim. So you're proven wrong there. Number two, we are talking, about Donald Trump and the $175 million now that he has to pay. You see, it's very, very simple, Patrick. This isn't the first time or the last time this will happen. Guess what? There doesn't have to be victims. Don't break the law. Be accountable for the things you do. And I don't hear people like you saying two-tier justice system now. When
Brian, if it's a fraud case, who is defrauded?
Patrick, do you understand this case?
Explain to me, Brian.
The fact that you would have to even ask me that question tells me
who is defrauded. Everybody was paid full.
Have you not listened to the case or watched the arguments that the prosecution have made that I need to explain the entire case?
It should be easy for you to explain then, Brian. Who is the victim?
Well,
who was defrauded?
It's very easy for me to explain it to someone that is semi-intelligent. It's very difficult for me to explain it to somebody like you. Patrick, have a nice day. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Arlene. Arlene is next on Pushing Limits. Hello, Arlene.
Oh, hello. So first of all, the reason on that fraud, if you will, business fraud, that he had to pay that, I'm really upset about this, $175 million. Mm-hmm. I mean, I had the IRS knocking at my door for $250,000 side. I'm getting sidetracked. His lawyers made a mistake and didn't check the box for a jury.
Right.
That's why Judge Engoron was able to, if you will, make the decision based on his evidence. So Trumpers need to listen.
Yeah.
But I want to get back to something that you two were talking about earlier, about like Joe Walsh has come out and said, I'm going to vote for Biden. I'm a Democrat. But how about people like Asa Hutchinson, the former governor of Ohio, Mr. Kasich, or Sununu? I'm not sure what Kasich has said, but I know they have said things like, "Well, I'm not voting for a Democrat." Okay, who are you voting for? Bobby Kennedy Jr.?
Yeah, I mean,
you see what I'm saying?
I do.
People.
Yeah, I do. But I'll tell you this: I'd rather have somebody, a staunch Republican, say they're not going to vote at all than say they're going to vote for Donald Trump. So you got to kind of
correct.
You got to take that as a win. Yeah, in a perfect world, we'd love them to support Joe Biden. And by the way, some of them are, as I've mentioned, Anthony Scaramucci, guys like that who do this show, staunch Republicans. They say they're not only supporting Joe Biden, they're going to campaign with him. So we can't discount that. That's really important. And it's funny when I make these statements that are facts, when me and Chris make these statements about the hush money case or about the $175 million, and people say, well, there can't be a victim. When I actually give them facts, their response is, you're just a crying liberal, or you have Trump derangement syndrome, because they have no argument. They can't debate the facts. We had Patrick who just called in who said there has to be a victim. No, there doesn't. And there doesn't have to be a victim.
Well,
I just gave a case of breaking the law. There doesn't have to be a victim. In criminal cases, there doesn't have to be a victim in order for you to break the law. It's insane.
Correct. But I there's always this people. So there are victims, because let's look at all the people who just want to buy a single family house, a livable condo.
Right.
The interest rate or their financial status has to be, let's just say their monthly income has to be 3 times the amount of that $500,000 condo.
Right.
And they can't get a loan because these other, whatchamacallit, are non-victims using, if you will, other people's money.
That's a good point. Listen, let me be clear. I'm not saying there are no victims here. I'm with you.
No.
I'm just taking Patrick's stupid argument and so many of these righties that make every defense in the book. If he talks about grabbing women by their genitals, it's only locker room talk. If he talks about injecting yourself with disinfectant, he was just joking. When he talks about 70% of Jews in this country that are Democrats that vote Democrat and they don't, they hate their religion, they hate Israel. He didn't mean it when he said that. He misspoke. When he talks about a bloodbath, it's going to be a bloodbath for the country. He was definitely talking about the auto industry. They always want to give Donald Trump the benefit of the doubt, and they crumble into a pretzel. Patrick is one of them. I'm tired of it. I appreciate. Go ahead.
If you will, just like this morning when he says, I didn't do anything on this hush money thing.
Right. Sure he did.
Yes, he did. Maybe he didn't rape the lady. She went, with consent. but it's what he did with the money.
Right, campaign finance.
They
Correct.
have two stories. Like, who cares who you sleep with?
Yeah.
Right, but it's how you paid them. But
Right.
even Donald Trump is making up his own story.
You're right.
Guys, have a great week.
Thank you for the phone call.
Thanks for the phone call.
Appreciate you. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Let's go to Kava, who's next. Hi, Kava.
How are you doing today, Brian?
Good. What's up, man?
So I want to address something that you guys were just talking about. So, Maggie, listen up. I'm not going to talk to you guys about this any further than what I'm already about to say. So, Donald Trump is guilty. Like it or not, Donald Trump can't pay the fees. That's his own fault. He put himself in this situation. So, like it or not, he's going to either have to pay up or shut up. That's it. Simple as that. Because I have seen so many of these MAGA Republicans going after Colin Kaepernick, continuously going after Letitia James, going after immigrants. But yet when Donald Trump does something wrong, it's, oh, well, he didn't do anything wrong. He's not the victim. Okay, first, if he wasn't the victim, why did he call on his people to go down to the Capitol and cause a riot? Why else would he have done that? Secondly, if Donald Trump decided to do that, how is he not the victim here? You and your MAGA Republicans went down there and caused a riot. You guys are being held accountable. Simple as that. That's all I wanted to say.
No, I think you're absolutely right. And Trump wants to be the victim. He wants to play the victim in every single situation. In his entire life, he's never taken any responsibility, right, Chris, for anything he's ever done.
Well, look, we don't have to be attorneys. We don't have to be lawyers, right? We can just look at what's in front of us, right? And right in front of our faces. And right in front of our faces is he's going to have to face the music with respect to, 90 criminal counts now? It was 91, right? But now it's 90 that he's going to have to face in an actual courtroom that is a criminal courtroom. We've discussed ad nauseum what took place with respect to his civil case, and that's what we're talking about as far as the money, right? It's a bond that he has to pay because he's appealing the case. So therefore, what? That's why it's come up with a bond that was, that was essentially 100%, right, of the money. Now there's been a judgment, by a judge in which he only has to pay 100, whatever it is. What is it now? Yeah. 140 million. Of the bond
175.
Now. So 175. So we've already characterized that as a quote unquote win for Trump. But people are conflating a lot of other things and start talking about other cases that are criminal cases. That's a civil case. Yeah. And then you get people like Patrick calling in and other MAGA people. There's people that I'm conversing with now that are MAGA idiots that I'm conversing with via text message. I won't put your names out there. But that are trying to talk about things that are on the outside, ancillary things like, this person only had, Epstein only had to pay this much money, and Madoff only had to pay this much money, false equivalencies all over the place that have nothing to do with Donald Trump's actual cases, and trying to make the case that, he's getting persecuted because of who he is, and it's just not true.
Some of the comments by MAGA country, I just kind of laugh at it. There's some comments.
Yeah, I mean, it's
plenty
ridiculous.
Of 2020 was rigged. There's plenty of evidence. Well, that's interesting because none of Donald Trump's attorneys. But let's go to the MyPillow guy in Felon Dinesh D'Souza to find out. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Let's go to Roy. Roy is next. What's going on, Roy?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good.
Very good.
Okay, first off, there are victims in this crime. By the way, his attorney, who in my opinion is an idiot, did not request a jury trial. That's why the judge ruled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She did not request a jury trial.
Correct.
Secondly, when he deceives everybody, all these banks and companies, it gives him a tremendous competitive advantage. There are victims, maybe people who are competitively trying to buy the same property. When he overstates all his assets and gets more favorable rates, he gets a better deal.
Right.
So it's not that there's no victim. Okay, there is always a victim.
Sure.
You don't always know who the victim is.
No, I agree.
The truth of the matter is, the whole country's been the victim of his crap for his entire life.
Yeah.
He's gotten away with murder. And you know what? I think he has the beginnings of Alzheimer's. His father had it, and I think he's scared that he's getting it.
Yeah, here's what here's what I will say to this, regardless of whether there's Alzheimer's or not, because I know there's a lot of people on the far right that make that claim about Joe Biden, which I don't believe either. I will say this, whether somebody has Alzheimer's or not, I judge them by their character. What kind of person are they? The things they've done in their life, their family. And I can tell you right now, beyond the shadow of a doubt, Donald Trump, it might be, he seems like he's mentally unstable, and he's probably the most insecure president by far we've ever had. And Joe Biden's going to win in November for a lot of different reasons. But I got to tell you, I'm looking forward to this, Chris. I'm looking forward to April 15th when this trial starts in this hush money case. I'm interested because Donald Trump's going to be embarrassed. If Stormy Daniels testifies, it's going to be extremely embarrassing for Donald Trump. And quite frankly, he deserves it. I want to know how long he lasted with Stormy Daniels. I want to know how he got her going, or lack thereof. I want to know how he lured her back to a hotel room. I want to know all the details, and I want to know the first conversation that Stormy Daniels had with Michael Cohen about this hush money payment. And guess what? We're probably going to learn all of it in the trial. Now, why is the sexcapades important? Well, that's the whole reason why the $120,000 hush money or $130,000 hush money payment was made, because they had sex. And my understanding, based on the sources that I have, is that Donald Trump was paying about $25,000 per second with Stormy Daniels. That's the rumor, but we'll find out if that's true or not. I don't know.
Well, look, those salacious details. Look, I get that you are interested, Brian. I'm sure there's millions of other Americans that want to care about that. But with respect to the judgment, right, the verdict in this case, that's what's most important, because we, and I say we, I'm talking about all Americans, should care about whether or not Donald Trump, is found guilty of this offense, right? And when it comes to all the, the juicy, call it, tabloidish details of the actual escapade that took place, that's not really relevant to what the case is. The case really is about whether or not the former president of the United States used a scenario that helped him to get elected to become president of the United States on false terms. Basically, that's what we're talking about here. Yeah. That's the most important
By the
thing.
way, Stormy Daniels has said on the record that Trump told her that she reminded him of Ivanka. How creepy is that? I'm sure we'll get those salacious details as well. Listen, the campaign finance violation stuff, the hush money stuff, I hope Bragg has the goods, and if he does, then Trump is going to be found guilty, and this isn't a civil, okay?
This is one case.
Criminal.
This is one of the cases he faces, Brian.
Right. He's got some problems. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Again, that number if you want to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-SAVE. Let's go to Rod. Rod is next up on Pushing the Limits. Hello, Rod.
Hey, how you doing, Brian?
Hey, good. What's on your mind, Rod?
I'm really having trouble wrapping my head around Trump supporters' support of Trump, despite the things that he's done, especially since these were the same people that when black people were being pulled over and they said, well, they deserve what they got because they didn't comply.
Right. Right.
And how do they justify, the fact that he even tried to overthrow, the government basically on January 6th. Even if you were to say, okay, some of the charges are extreme or excessive or whatever, what do they expect was going to happen? If you try to do something like that, of course there's going to be backlash. Of course there's going to be some type of payment.
Yeah.
For something like that to happen. You just don't walk away from having done that. You destroy people's lives.
Right.
And he caused all the chaos and confusion. Yeah. And, there's cops now that is going to have emotional scars for the rest of their life.
You know what the problem is, though, too, Rod? You know what the problem is, too, that there are so many people that are so uneducated. For example, what took place on January 6th? There's somebody on social media that just said there were no weapons used on January 6th. If you watch Newsmax and OAN and Fox Noise, you'll probably believe that. But if you actually watch video footage and you look at the court cases of the over 1,000 people that were convicted, many of whom are still behind bars, they used the police officers' own batons to beat cops. There were weapons that were used. In fact, one guy used an American flagpole to beat a security officer, and there were some people that brought weapons in. And they were used on those officers. So when somebody makes a statement like that, this is the problem with the media today, and I'm talking about particularly right-wing media. There are people that are so brainwashed out there. Some people who are educated, but they are so brainwashed. If they watch Newsmax or OAN all day, it will lead you to believe that it was Nancy Pelosi's fault for what took place on January 6th, or that it was an inside job, according to Vivek Ramaswamy, that Donald Trump won the 2020 elections. They tried to get away with the Dominion voting machines until Fox News had to pay $900 million. So they finally got away from that. They will lead you to believe that the economy is in shambles right now, when, by the way, it's to the contrary. If you actually look at the facts and the G6 summit, those countries that we compare ourselves to and their economies, we're doing much better than most of those countries. But if you watch Fox News and Jesse Waters or Sean Hannity and Laura Ingraham, they will lead you to believe that the economy is in shambles. Let me just remind everybody, and then I'll let you go, but let me just remind everybody, number one, we have the lowest unemployment rate we had in 50 years. And if Republicans use the excuse of those are all COVID jobs, because the unemployment numbers are lower now than they were before COVID. That's number one. Number two, manufacturing jobs are at all-time highs right now. The job growth is at record highs right now. Right now, you can look at gas prices and inflation. They've skyrocketed down in the last several years in double digits. They're down to 3% right now. Those are just some of the accomplishments. I could talk about the Science Chips Act. I could talk about the infrastructure bill, bipartisan, by the way, this budget bill that just passed, and so many other accomplishments under the Biden administration. But again, these right-wing MAGAs out there, they're brainwashed by misinformation that they hear and they believe from idiots like Jesse Waters.
And Brian, to the top of the call that Rod made, and to the respect to your comment you made, Rod, talking about how I can't believe where Trump supporters' heads are at. Let me tell you something, my friend. I gave up a long time ago trying to get into the heads of all things MAGA out there. Look, tongue-in-cheek saying this, I understand there's many reasons why people are Trumpers, many people that will never vote for Democrats. I get it because of, maybe their principles, whatever, what they believe, maybe because they are actual cult followers, right? They actually treat Donald Trump like he's some cult figure that he's thumbing his nose at the establishment. That's what we love about Donald Trump. But Rod, I'll tell you, I would be not able to get any sleep whatsoever, my friend, if I was trying to dive into the psyche that is MAGA out there in America.
Yeah. Well, the last thing I have to say is, if by any chance that even if he doesn't get reelected, if he manages to beat these charges, when you get all those people, like you said, who are already locked up for January the 6th, and so many other people who've been charged for things related to the things that he's done, and he's the one that doesn't have to pay for it,
right?
That's going to be a big problem for people's respect of the justice system in this country.
Yeah, no, I agree. What would they say if Barack Obama defied a subpoena for a year? What would all the right-wing attacks on Barack Obama? Thank you so much for the call. Great call. Good
Thanks,
points.
Rod.
Appreciate you. 702. Thank you. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. So here's what we are going to do, Chris. I didn't get the opportunity because it was all unfolding on Friday, but we've learned a lot of information now about this tragic shooting that took place in Russia at a concert where so many innocent people have lost their lives. And guess what? U.S. intelligence warned Vladimir Putin that it was going to happen. What is Vladimir Putin's response? More right-wing conspiracy theories. We'll explain to you how Putin is responding. Who he's blaming might not surprise you. And I'll get your thoughts on this, Chris, and we'll take some phone calls on the other side, 702-221-7283. And again, that number if you want to be a part of the show, 702-221-SAVE. Take a quick break. Be back in 90 seconds. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP. Did you know that 99% of air conditioning issues start with airflow issues? Well, guess what? Pioneer Air has your back. They've been operating for 20 years in the industry within the Las Vegas area, large enough to handle all your air conditioning and heating needs, but small enough to know your first name. Pioneer Air focuses on preventative care, much like wellness checks for humans. They believe in wellness checks for air conditioning and heating systems to extend the life of the system you own. So what are you waiting for? Schedule your wellness check with Pioneer Air today. The number to call is 702-831-4840. Here's the best news. Mention this ad and you'll receive 10% off. Call Pioneer Air today. 702-831-4840. That number again, 702-831-4840.
My name is Hunter Kane, and I'm talking with you for a call to action for our veterans in Clark County. Who is Hunter Kane? Well, I'm a decorated combat veteran, veteran community leader, and candidate for Clark County Commission. Do you know no veteran has served on the commission in nearly 30 years, which is why our veteran homelessness, unemployment, and suicide rates are out of control. So here's the call to action. June 11th, vote veteran, vote Kane for Clark County. Let's rally behind someone who's been in the trenches, who knows the sacrifices, and who's committed to making a real difference. Join the campaign by searching Elect Hunter Kane on social media or go to www.electhunterkane.com.
Voters want safe gun reform, ban military assault weapons, including AR-15s, have universal background checks, and red flag laws. I am Eva Chase, a candidate for Nevada State Assembly District 16, U.S. Air Force veteran, college graduate, progressive independent candidate, fully transitioned transgender woman, former lieutenant governor candidate for Nevada in 2022, where I received 7,212 votes in the Democratic primary. Follow me on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok. Donate to my campaign bot fun account and stay progressive.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Residents of Las Vegas Ward 5, are you ready for a brighter future? I would like to introduce myself, Dr. Erica Smith, your People's Choice for City Council. With a vision for progress and the fortitude to make it happen, I am committed to moving us forward. I am not just a candidate, I am a fighter for you. With myself on the City Council, you can expect a real change and a community that thrives. Vote for Dr. Erica Smith, because together we're building a better tomorrow. To learn more about me and my campaign, go to www.ericaforlasvegas.com, paid for by the Vote Dr. Smith Committee.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is going to be joining us on the show next week. I know that's going to be interesting. We got some very special guests lining up the rest of this week, including David Pollack, a popular conservative podcaster who's going to be joining us on the show tomorrow from the David Pollack Show. I know we're going to get into a good spirited debate, because unlike all the right-wing shows in Las Vegas, and quite frankly, the right-wing shows throughout the country, they refuse to have debates with anybody that disagrees with them. I think Chris could attest. I interview more Republicans than Democrats on this show. So anyway, Chris Wynn joining us in studio. Obviously, we are going to continue to cover not only this bond situation where Trump has, I believe, 10 days to cover $175 million, but also the April 15th hush money trial. I can't wait till Stormy gets on the stand. But, we have a very serious and very sad story to talk about. There's terrorism throughout the world. We saw what happened with Hamas and what took place in Israel. And hundreds, and in fact, I think it was thousands of concert goers in Russia were just enjoying a show, enjoying a concert, just like many Israelis that are innocent in Israel were enjoying a music festival there. And now 4 suspects are in custody in a shooting. ISIS taking responsibility for it. 137 people are dead. 137 families mourning the loss of their loved ones. My heart goes out to them. And now they have been charged with committing a terrorist act, facing possible life imprisonment. And I saw pictures of them. They've been beaten and tortured. Not that I feel sorry for them at all. That's the way Russia does things over there, I guess. The suspects have identified, and they'll be held in custody until May 22nd. 3 of the defendants pled guilty to all charges, according to state news agencies. But here's the part of the story that is very troubling. Obviously, the most troubling of them all are all these innocent people that have died, and all the people that were injured. It's horrible. It's such a terrible tragedy. But Russia's president, Vladimir Putin, has said that these people were planning to flee into Ukraine. Now, obviously, the Ukrainian government is denying that, and there's no evidence to prove that. And in some way, Vladimir Putin wants to blame Ukraine and Vladimir Zelensky for his own failings. Now, why do I say Vladimir Putin's own failings? Well, Putin said the main suspects arrested planned to flee into Ukraine, but he also said he also is drawing a smokescreen of propaganda where he's denying that the U.S. gave them any warnings. That is a lie. Putin dismissed the warnings. He got the warnings last week, got the warnings from the U.S. Embassy in Russia that there could be attacks on large groups. That's a fact. And Putin is denying that. What did Putin do? He laughed it off. He thought it was a joke. Am I saying that this could have been prevented? I don't know the answer to that. What I am saying, very similar in some aspects, and I'm not saying George W. Bush and Condoleezza Rice laughed off the warnings, but before 9/11, there were warnings that the CIA gave George W. Bush and his administration that Osama bin Laden was planning an attack on the U.S. We know now that U.S. intelligence warned Vladimir Putin and the Russian government that they were planning an attack on the Russian land. Vladimir Putin not only did nothing, but he brushed it off and he laughed it off. And now, somehow, he's trying to blame Ukraine for what took place. This was ISIS. ISIS already took responsibility for it hours after the attack. They want to kill as many innocent people as possible, really in any part of the world. It just so happened to be in Russia. If they had the opportunity to do it in the United States, they would have done it in the United States as well. Chris, what do you make of this story, and what do you make of Vladimir Putin's response to it?
Well, first off, it's been confirmed, right, by I believe it's the United States Security Council, right, is the one who came out with a statement with respect to ISIS being responsible, and it's pretty much been confirmed. It's not just by the United States, by the way. I think it's other countries as well, too, that have also made that confirmation. So, first of all, hearing from Vladimir Putin, okay, we don't take him at his word, all right? He's not a man of honor. He is a man of disgrace. He is a piece of complete garbage, all right? Yes, he's the president of Russia, but the idea that we're going to sit back and listen to Vladimir Putin and buy everything that he says, come on, give me a break, all right? This is the Putin regime. This is not some democratic republic. We know. We see it coming a mile away, what Vladimir Putin is trying to do here. Yes, he's trying to shift blame into the nation in which he is involved in a conflict in which he started by invading a sovereign nation, and his country invading a sovereign nation, him, essentially, and the powers that be there with Russia along with him, making that decision. And so he's trying to turn this into a situation in which Ukraine's responsible when, in fact, we know that it's absolutely ISIS. But this is par for the course. This is what Vladimir Putin does and countries like Russia do, okay, when it comes to how they try to frame horrible tragedies like this and terrorist attacks that would take place like this. You talked about how, could it have been prevented? I don't know. It's a terrorist attack, essentially, right? So that is something that I'm sure is going to be analyzed, and people that are experts in the situation might know better than you and I. But we understand the MO that is Vladimir Putin and what he's going to try to do, and it's once again another disgraceful situation in which Vladimir Putin is involved, and that's my take on it.
Yeah,
that's it.
Again, my heart goes out to the families who lost loved ones. I mean, just the loss. I mean, sadly, we're no stranger to mass shootings, even though it wasn't necessarily terrorism on October 1 in Las Vegas. It was one deranged individual. While different circumstances, we still had over 60 innocent people that lost their lives. I can't imagine what these families are going through. And again, while all this stuff is going on and all these innocent people have died, and I'm not saying Donald Trump had anything to do with it, but it would have been nice maybe if he could have showed a little bit of compassion for the first time in his life. Instead, he's bragging and putting more words into a golf tournament that he won at his stupid golf club. It goes to show you who Donald Trump is. And going back to Vladimir Putin, he screwed up. This is the guy and his government who got warnings, as you mentioned, from agencies across the world. And he brushed it off and he laughed it off. Now, I'm glad these 4 individuals were taken into custody. I hope they're tortured every day for the rest of their lives. But it doesn't take away from the fact that Putin, in my personal opinion, does not care about his own people. He only cares about himself and staying in power and showing off, his political muscles, so to speak. This could happen in this country as well. Thank God.
Well, it has happened in this country. So
in the future it can.
Yeah.
And that's what worries me, because terrorism is real. ISIS is still out there. There are bad people that want to do bad things. And in my personal opinion, this is why we need to support Israel. It doesn't mean that we need to support everything Benjamin Netanyahu does. I'm not a big Benjamin Netanyahu fan. I'll be honest with you. I'm not.
Well, neither am I, because his politics are on the right from an ideological standpoint.
Yeah.
He's not someone that like Democrats necessarily would agree with from a political standpoint.
Well, listen, the Israeli government has a responsibility to not kill innocent people, right? It's a very difficult situation when you have Hamas infiltrating themselves around innocent Palestinians. But Hamas needs to be taken out. This is exactly what Hamas wanted. They wanted chaos in Gaza. No. They wanted innocent people to die. They don't care whether it's Israelis or Palestinians. They want innocent people to die. They are a terrorist organization. And they've been a terrorist organization since the mid-'80s. ISIS, same thing. They're barbaric people. They believe there are, 80 virgins waiting up in heaven if they're a martyr. And they are a deranged group of people that want massacres and want to kill as many innocent people as possible. It's terrible. So what can we do? In the United States, we have to protect our own. We have to do everything in our power to make sure that this doesn't happen here. We don't have another 9/11. But at the same time, while this is such I hope it's a wake-up call to Vladimir Putin. It probably won't be. He probably won't change a thing. He's already blaming Ukraine, which, by the way, there's no evidence. Let me be clear. There is zero evidence that Ukraine was involved or had anything to do with these attacks. Zero. But again, the conspiracy theorist right-winger, Vladimir Putin, will say that somehow Ukraine had to be involved or was allowing these terrorists to come into Ukraine. Again, that's not true. Tucker Carlson's of the world will question that. Those that are pro-Putin, as Liz Cheney said, the Putin part of the right-wing party and the Republicans today will probably have no problem with Vladimir Putin trying to put the blame on Ukraine for what took place. And it's despicable. These conspiracy theories are despicable. These are innocent human lives that were taken. They all have families, young people who lost their lives as well. But this is the guy that Donald Trump will stand by. I'm talking about Vladimir Putin now. He will stand 2 feet against Putin. And when asked, did Russia interfere in our elections, which, by the way, we know they did. I'm not saying it changed the outcome of the 2016 elections, but we know that Russia did. And Donald Trump will stand next to him and take Vladimir Putin's word over our own CIA, over our own FBI. That's the guy you want back in office, who writes love letters to evil, murderous dictators. I want you to forget for a second if you're a Republican. Forget for a second if you're a MAGA supporter. Close your eyes and think for a moment, unless you're driving. We want you to drive safely. And think for a moment back when Barack Obama was president, Chris. I know you don't have to do this, but to my MAGA friends out there, think about if Barack Obama said he was writing love letters to Kim Jong-un. What would Republicans
You would have got blasted. You would have got killed.
Think about if Barack Obama was standing right next to Vladimir Putin and said he believed Vladimir Putin over our own intelligence. Think about after Otto Warmbier came home months later, and Barack Obama is standing next to the evil, murderous dictator in Kim Jong-un. And Barack Obama is asked about Otto Warmbier, who was murdered by that evil, murderous North Korean government. And when asked about it, did Kim Jong-un take responsibility for it? No, I believe Kim Jong-un because he said he knew nothing about it. What if Barack Obama said statements like that?
Well, we could do this till the cows come home, Brian. We've been. You and I have done this ad nauseum when it comes to the what if Barack Obama did it, what if Joe Biden did it, what if Hillary Clinton did it, and said the things that Donald Trump did. And to circle back to this situation, it's a horrible tragedy for innocent Russians who were killed, or other people that were killed that may not have been Russian in the situation. It's a horrible terrorist attack, and it's another clear indication that Russia is not the United States. Russia is not a democratic republic. It is not a democracy. All right? It is run in a completely different way. Vladimir Putin is someone who is a complete garbage individual who I've mentioned many times in this show. I don't think has the right to be alive right now. I think he should be taken out. Right?
I agree.
I don't know exactly how that transpires, and I'm not sitting here, saying that I've got all the answers when it comes to that. But my point is that we understand who Vladimir Putin is, and to kind of hit on what you said regarding Trump, he likes to stand with strongmen. He thinks that dictators have some positive qualities.
Yep.
He's made these
Said
comments.
that about Adolf Hitler.
Made these comments about Adolf Hitler.
Yep.
Made these comments about Putin. You brought up Kim Jong-un and other, Erdogan. There's a number of these individuals that Donald Trump harps praise on, that if Democrats did the same thing, their political careers would be over. That is one of the more terribly fascinating things in American politics today, is that Trump is able to do this, and it gets brushed under the rug by right-wingers, Republicans, and MAGA, because they just want to neither see nor hear any of that. They don't care about that, all right?
But
they just want to, make false equivalencies about Democrats, and it's something that has nothing to do with them whatsoever.
It's amazing to me that, the U.S. Embassy warned Russia that there could be these attacks on large groups, and nobody in Russia can criticize Vladimir Putin, because if you criticize Vladimir Putin, you're either going to go to jail or he's going to murder you. It's going to be one or the other. The people that went to the funeral, and why am I forgetting his name, of
Zelensky?
No.
Not Zelensky.
Funeral,
Zelensky is the president of Ukraine.
The funeral of the hero.
Yes, the political political opponent, essentially, of
Yeah.
Vladimir Putin,
Yeah.
who was killed in a Siberian prison.
Yeah,
Yes, I
Navalny.
said it. Yes, I said it, Brian Shapiro.
Yes.
He was killed in a Siberian prison.
And now, yes, and Navalny is the guy we're talking about. So if you even went to his funeral, forget about even opposing Vladimir Putin. If you just went to his funeral, you could be arrested.
Brian, I'll do you one better. If you were out and you were showing any type of support, right, on the streets, if you were having vigils on the streets in Russia, you were being arrested. That is the difference between the United States of America and other countries, by the way, that are democratic countries, democratic republics, all you people that are stingy about your descriptions, all right, and countries like Russia and North Korea and others, by the way. That is the difference. Arrested just for celebrating the man who was the political opponent of Vladimir Putin. And by the way, quick little note here, Brian Shapiro, all right? They're actually having another election in Russia. They are about to have another election in Russia. Are you kidding me, really? I mean, Vladimir Putin has been the president there for, 20-plus years in Russia? And you people in Russia, and you people I'm talking about, the people that support Vladimir Putin, not talking about the good people in Russia. I'm talking about you Vladimir Putin supporters out there, this idea that it's like some legit election in Russia. Give me a break, all right? It's another dog and pony show that's about to take place in Russia. It's not a legit election. He's going to get elected again because it is a sham. It is a complete farce. What it is with respect to the election system, I'll use in air quotes, in Russia. Give me a break.
Yeah.
But it's not surprising, right, Brian? It just isn't surprising.
It's an utter embarrassment, and I guess we'll take one last break here, and I'll open up the phone lines again, and we'll take some calls in this last segment. And the question I'm going to ask you, Chris, when we come back, and I'm also going to ask this question to our listeners out there if they'd like to call in or speak on social media if you don't want to call in, is this. What do you think is going to happen here with Trump's legal troubles? Now, he's going to be posting, I'm going to assume, in the next 10 days, he's going to be able to post a $175 million bond. What's going to happen in this case? What do you think is going to happen in this hush money case? On April 15th, when Stormy Daniels testified that Donald Trump had unprotected sex with her, and then they paid her and used campaign finance money to pay her $130,000 to keep her mouth shut, how do you think that's going to play out in New York? Well, how's it going to play out with Letitia James? And even more importantly, how do you think the Jack Smith case is going to play out with the classified documents, the fact that Donald Trump defied a subpoena for over a year? And, two-part question, how do you feel like it may or may not affect the elections come November? Those are the questions that I'm asking you. I'm going to open up the phone lines. I'll ask Chris that when we come back, and then I will take your phone calls and ask you those same questions when we come back. The number to call, 702-221-7283. And again, that number to call if you would like to be a part of the conversation, now's the time to do so. 702-221-SAVE. We will take a quick break, and we'll be back right after this with your phone calls. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP. Did you know that 99% of air conditioning issues start with airflow issues? Well, guess what? Pioneer Air has your back. They've been operating for 20 years in the industry within the Las Vegas area, large enough to handle all your air conditioning and heating needs, but small enough to know your first name. Pioneer Air focuses on preventative care, much like wellness checks for humans. They believe in wellness checks for air conditioning and heating systems to extend the life of the system you own. So what are you waiting for? Schedule your wellness check with Pioneer Air today. The number to call is 702-831-4840. Here's the best news. Mention this ad and you'll receive 10% off. Call Pioneer Air today. 702-831-4840. That number again, 702-831-4840.
My name is Hunter Kane, and I'm talking with you for a call to action for our veterans in Clark County. Who is Hunter Kane? Well, I'm a decorated combat veteran community leader, and candidate for Clark County Commission. Do you know no veteran has served on the commission in nearly 30 years, which is why our veteran homelessness, unemployment, and suicide rates are out of control. So here's the call to action. June 11th, vote veteran, vote Kane for Clark County. Let's rally behind someone who's been in the trenches, who knows the sacrifices, and who's committed to making a real difference. Join the campaign by searching Elect Hunter Kane on social media or go to www.electhunterkane.com.
Want safe gun reform? Ban military assault weapons, including AR-15s, have universal background checks, and red flag laws. I am Eva Chase, a candidate for Nevada State Assembly District 16, U.S. Air Force veteran, college graduate, progressive independent candidate, fully transitioned transgender woman, former lieutenant governor candidate for Nevada in 2022, where I received 7,212 votes in the Democratic primary. Follow me on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok. Donate to my campaign bot fun account and stay progressive.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Residents of Las Vegas Ward 5, are you ready for a brighter future? I would like to introduce myself, Dr. Erica Smith, your People's Choice for City Council, with a vision for progress and the fortitude to make it happen. I am committed to moving us forward. I am not just a candidate, I am a fighter for you. With myself on the City Council, you can expect a real change and a community that thrives. Vote for Dr. Erica Smith, because together we're building a better tomorrow. To learn more about me and my campaign, go to www.ericaforlasvegas.com, paid for by the Vote Dr. Smith Committee.
Buying or selling a home is a huge life event that requires guidance from an expert in the industry and community. My name is Blake Wynn. You may recognize my name as my grandfather was the best governor the state of Nevada has ever had. Growing up in Las Vegas, I've come to know this community intricately. Now, I am raising a family here as well, so I understand all the issues impacting our home and quality of life. As the top realtor for the #1 real estate team at Keller Williams, you can have confidence in my experience, knowledge, and track record. When it comes to buying, selling, or investing in real estate, choose a name you can trust and someone who understands the community you call home. Call Blake Wynn today and experience the difference of a trusted expert. 702-540-3311.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Monday. We got Chris Wynn in the house.
What's up, Brian Shapiro? What's up, PTL Nation out there? Off and running on the first day of the week. Let's do this.
Yes, that is correct. And if you're just joining us, I challenged some of my MAGA friends to call in on social media just now, because what we are doing is I'm asking you all this question. And I think it's a very important one. I'll ask Chris first. Yeah. And this is the question I'll ask all of you. And the number to call, by the way, 702-221-7283. You have all these legal problems that Donald Trump is facing, right? You have all these cases in New York City. We have the Letitia James case. We've got Bragg. The hush money case is going to be starting in mid-April, one day before my birthday, so it's a wonderful birthday present, Mr. Bragg. Thank you very much. Of course, I've always said the Jack Smith charges are probably the most serious. I think he's probably the most respected of all the prosecutors out there. I think Bragg is probably the most respected one of them all. So all these legal problems, my question is, number one, what do you think is going to happen with all these cases? And number two, my question is, how will it affect the elections in November, if at all? And that number to call is 702-221-7283. I ask you those questions. And there's so many people I shouldn't say so many people, but there are a select number of people on social media that'll call us the same things. We're in the same boat here. They call us liberals. They say we have Trump derangement syndrome. Somebody just said,
Which is not a thing.
Yeah, I get my facts from CNN. But yet, what did I say that's a lie? What did I say that's not true? I have people every day, Chris, not just on this show, but they'll call me a liar. And then I'll say, okay, let's go with that. What did I say that's not factually accurate? What did I say that you disagree with? What did I say that wasn't true?
Crickets. Nobody's
Nothing.
saying anything.
Right.
Nobody can come up with anything.
Right.
And I'll answer your question real quick.
Sure.
That you
Go
asked,
ahead.
right? You asked the question, what's going to happen? I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm an attorney, that I know all the details of every case. I'll just make a general statement, okay? Usually, when someone is facing 4 different types of jeopardy, right, when it comes to trials across the board, and there used to be 91, now there are 90, felony charges that you're facing, it would be preposterous to think that they're going to get off on all 90 of them, all right? Mm-hmm. That is the one clear statement that I'm going to make. But let me refer back to what Patrick said at the beginning of the thing, because talking about this hypocrisy, Brian Shapiro, of, who are the victims of these of what transpired with Donald Trump, right? Talking about that. And our friend, our guy, avid listener to PTL and watcher to PTL, Andrew, chimes in and says, what about the Hunter Biden gun charge? He's being charged by the Biden Department of Justice in that case, right? Hunter Biden is facing an illegal gun possession charge. You could ask the same question out there, all you people out there that want to say, who's the victim of crimes? Who's the crime in the Hunter Biden case?
Chris, isn't that
Andrew brought that up.
Chris,
who's the victim, Brian Shapiro?
That's a good point. And isn't that the only gun that Republicans in this country seem to care about?
100%.
Right?
Absolutely.
An unloaded gun that Hunter Biden had for, I think, was it 12 or 13 days that he did not commit a crime with, similar to the unloaded gun that Trump was carrying, but we'll learn a little bit more about that from Stormy Daniels. We'll take your phone calls, too. 702-221-7283, and the number to call, 702-221-7283. We hear it all the time. 2-tier justice system. The Biden DOJ, and yet it's Joe Biden's own son that is facing charges. What's the excuse there?
And the point being, right, Brian, is this. When it's Democrats or somebody that's on the left or is aligned with the left, Hunter Biden, I don't even know what his politics are. Obviously, I would expect he's a Democrat. But the point being is this. Democrats are all guilty, right? Oh, yeah, they were treated fairly if they happen to face charges and actually get charged. But Republicans have to face it. Donald Trump has to face it. Oh, then it's all skewed. Then it's not on the up and up, right? When there's elections that take place in 2020, the Republicans who won, Brian Shapiro, the Republicans won fair and square. Any senator that won out there, any House of Representatives member that won out there, it was all on the up and up. But if a Democrat won, shady, votes at 4 o'clock in the morning,
right.
dumps of votes all over the place. Joe Biden, the idea Joe Biden would win with, a record mail-in voting that took place in 2020, records. People like you and I who voted mail-in because we're not going to our elementary school in the middle of a pandemic to vote, all right? But it's not on the up and up. If a Democrat wins, we got to ask questions. I'm just asking a question. That's all I'm doing. I'm MAGA, and I'm just asking questions. Why do you have a problem with that? You know what I mean? The hypocrisy is rampant all over the place on both voting situations and, of course, the justice system.
And while all this stuff is going on Capitol Hill last week, and we had Lev Parnas on the show Friday joining us, completely destroying the Republicans, particularly the MAGA Republicans out there that are still on this voyage to find some treasure of gold that somehow Joe Biden committed any crimes. multiple times they've had the opportunity to, try to impeach Joe Biden, but on what grounds? And there's more and more Republicans that are becoming more and more frustrated with James Comer and Jim Jordan, who are just embarrassing themselves on a daily basis.
Clown show, right?
Yeah, complete clown show. There's absolutely no evidence. Now, some of these Republicans say, well, look at the Mueller report. Yeah, let's look at the Mueller report. There are a lot of people that would categorize what's in the Mueller report as obstruction. There were examples that Mueller gave of Trump obstructing. He didn't feel like there was enough to rise to the level of criminality, but that doesn't mean that Donald Trump didn't obstruct. Show me one piece of evidence that directly links Joe Biden to committing a crime. It was Ocasio-Cortez. I don't always agree with her, but it was Ocasio-Cortez who was asking Bobulinski, name me the crime. And he says RICO. And then Ocasio-Cortez rightfully points out, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Give me the exact crime that Joe Biden, oh, yeah, he committed a crime. What did he do? Okay, RICO in general terms. Tell me exactly, did he accept money? Did he accept a bribe? Did he cheat? Did he lie? Did he commit a crime? What did he do? And they can't come up with anything.
Hey, Brian, just because, hey, America out there, just because people toss out words doesn't mean that it's actually factually accurate information, okay? Yeah. Just because, people are going to say things, you got to actually back it up with evidence and reality when it comes to these types of scenarios.
Yeah, and by the way, there's people, again, that are very uneducated on social media. They say, he received money from various countries. Okay, so in your opinion, if that's a crime, if you receive money from various countries, does that mean that Ivanka Trump is going to jail? Does that mean that Eric and Donald Trump are going to jail? Does that mean that Jared Kushner, who received $2.1 billion from another country, would that mean that he is going to jail? Oh, what about receiving money from foreign governments, which, by the way, the Trump administration, Donald Trump, has already admitted. And he gave back, staying at his hotels, by the way, he gave back about 5% of it. So going by your standards, if you receive money from other countries, wouldn't that mean everybody in Donald Trump's administration, including members of his immediate family, his 2 sons and daughter?
But Brian, let me talk.
You're all good kids, all good kids.
That's good stuff. But Brian, let me toss this at you. The idea that Joe Biden is some rich dude out there, right? I mean, let's put our cards on the table, Brian Shapiro. I'll ask you flat out. Where is this indication that the Biden family is just soaked up in money? I don't see it. Joe Biden has been in public service for 50 plus years, okay? There's no indication that Joe Biden is awash with cash, that he is loaded. Does Joe Biden or Dr. Jill Biden or any Biden person have millions of dollars, tens of millions?
No.
What is the net worth of Joe Biden? I'll ask you people out there, what is the net worth of our current president of the United States?
I can guess and say maybe several million.
$8 million, maybe?
Probably, maybe that might be a little high, but maybe a little under that.
Okay, so you just said it's high.
Yeah.
$7-8 million.
Yep.
Yet there's you listen to MAGA and Republicans out there, and he's getting all these handouts of huge amounts of money from countries. Like, this is the absurdness that we're dealing with respect to this one issue, to this one thing that's being portrayed out there like it's a reality, and it's just not.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, Joe Biden is not some multi-millionaire out there flaunting his wealth all over the place, or even close to a billionaire. It's not. He's just not.
Yeah, it's he's not. Now, if you go to how much money, and I guess this is a Google. So, Nemchuk, why don't you take the mic and tell us? You did a little bit of a Google search here. Why don't you share with us what you found?
I Googled Trump's net worth.
What's it?
$2.6 billion.
Yeah. So do you believe that?
Which I don't think Trump has been out there taunting that he is worth just under $3 billion, right? Mostly, look, I'm going off the top of my head here, Brian Shapiro and Justin Chuck and PTL Nation out there, but he is continuously touted he's worth over $10 million or $10 billion, right? I believe so, right? Don't quote me on that, but I think I'm pretty much spot on.
I mean, listen, I don't know how much Donald Trump is worth. Here's what I do know. For years, he tried to hide his tax returns.
Yeah.
What we also know is that he did do business in Russia. What we also know is that he's a snake oil salesman his entire life. I mean, and he's doing it today, selling these $19 cheap sneakers you can buy on Amazon for $400 because it has a D on it, or a T or whatever the hell he put on there. He's been a snake oil salesman his entire life. He received a $500 million company from his father at a very young age, and if he just sat on that money, I guarantee he'd be worth a lot more now than he is today. You look at all of his companies that have filed for bankruptcy, the Trump University, for example, which was a disaster, all the civil lawsuits, the thousands of civil lawsuits that he had to face before he was president of the United States. And for people out there that want to make the case that Donald Trump is sort of some sort of wonderful businessman is an absolute joke. It's an absolute joke. Look at all of his business failings. It's a joke. I mean, so listen, we can go on and on about that. The bottom line here is this. We have a very important election in November, and not just for the presidency, a lot of other very important elections as well, and some friends of mine that are running for office. We got those elections in June. This is an important time for our country. Now, I'm going to get away from Donald Trump, and I'm just going to give you my opinions now on the Republican platform today. And in no way, case, or form am I saying that every Republican feels this way, but the MAGA Republicans and the Trump Republican Party, which is what it is today, and the overwhelming majority of the party is pro-Trump. What is the Republican platform today? Well, it starts with banning books and talking about drag queens, about how the earth is falling. We talk about how much these people claim that they care about our children in this country, but they don't want to talk about gun control. In fact, in some states, they want to make getting a gun easier. Ron DeSantis passed a bill that if you're a convicted felon, 8 years out of jail, you can legally purchase a gun. Abbott did something similar. So they don't make it harder for criminals to get their hands on guns. They make it easier. And yet they want to talk about drag queen reading, and they want to ban books, and they want to attack transgenders, and they are anti-gay marriage. I would argue anti-gay. And then when you ask them about that, they hide like cowards behind their religion. And they say that, well, my religion tells me that it's a sin. That's basically a cop-out for you being a bigot. This is what the Republican platform is. Let's raise taxes for middle-class Americans that are struggling, and let's cut taxes for the CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. And if you don't believe me, look at the talking points of every Republican that's running for office. They talk about gender ideology. That's the first thing they usually talk about. They talk about our children and how much they care about our children and gender ideology. And they're so worried that if you're a transgender, you'll go through. This is how stupid some of these people are. They believe that somebody will have a transgender surgery and get the snip or whatever so that they can go into a different bathroom and molest a child. Now, obviously, there's no evidence of that, but there are people in this country that are so stupid, they actually believe that. But they're not talking about health care, and if they are, they'll complain about Obamacare, and then where's the replacement plan? There is no replacement plan. Remember, Donald Trump said he had a replacement plan coming in 2 weeks? Funny, we still haven't seen that replacement plan. They'll claim that the border is such a bad crisis, and it needs to be dealt with immediately, and Joe Biden is to blame for all of our issues at the border. Okay, well, you had a bipartisan bill set forth by MAGA Republicans in place. You had a border bill, and then the MAGA Republicans didn't vote for it. Why? Because Donald Trump told them not to, because it's the Donald Trump party, and it's why people like the Murkowskis of the world are eventually going to leave the party. That is the platform of the Republican Party today. What is the platform of the Democrat Party? Well, it's pretty simple. It's the same platform they had 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And that platform is treat people as equals, treat people with respect regardless of where they're from or what their religion is or what their race is. Let's help women raise a child. I forgot the platform of right-wingers are let's ban abortion. Maternity leave. Let's help poor people get their way and make their way into our economy and get jobs with welfare, food stamps, government programs that will help people that are suffering. Let's not give tax breaks to the rich. Let's charge the rich a little bit more so that a family income of $50,000 or less is paying a less percentage on taxes than the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. You ask me, that is the platform and what many of the Democrats have been trying to do. Gun control, of course, another big issue. That's the fundamental difference between Republicans and Democrats today in their platforms.
And let's to circle back to what you said at the top of the show, Brian, in the first segment regarding the turmoil, right, that's going on in Washington, D.C. with Republicans. That's extended, of course, to Mike Johnson's situation, right? As far as Speaker of the House, there's people that are the far right wing of the party, the MAGA wing of the Republican Party, want him out because of this, the funding Ukraine bill, essentially, that looks like it's going to get passed through when it comes to D.C. And that is a real possibility. And you got the Marjorie Taylor Greens and others that are lambasting Mike Johnson because there is the perception that he is dealing with Democrats, right? That they are trying to actually get something done because this is a historic Republican Congress, essentially, that hasn't done anything for the entire 4 years that Joe Biden has been in office, or that has been just basically obstructionary the entire time. He just wants to block every single thing that Joe Biden and Democrats want to do. So another indication that that basically everybody's hair is on fire when it comes to being Republican in D.C. right now.
Yeah, and, luckily I don't have any hair. But but going back to what I said earlier when we talk about the November elections, which, by the way, we're almost in April.
Well, yeah, it's going to sneak right up on us. Brian, I talked about this. It is going to be just flat out extraordinary what takes place. It is going to be something that we have never seen in American history with respect to politics, and certainly not in modern American history, because of all the dynamics, right? All of these details. I mean, I talk about the dog and pony show and all that, and kind of almost a Banana Republic type aspect to this when it comes to Republicans. But just to see the dynamic that's going to be a presidential candidate, Brian Shapiro, in Donald Trump, shuffling from campaign stops to going back to being in courtrooms for court cases that he's facing in the next 5 to 6 months. Right. Yes, the case in which Jack Smith, right, the special counsel, talking about the January 6th case, it creates a delay going to the Supreme Court. But they're eventually going to call it the sham that it is, as far as trying to delay it, and it's a trial that's going to take place and is going to get underway. Is it probably going to be finished by the end of the election? Probably not. But there's going to be other elections, other cases that Trump faces that will be decided before the election. So I'm confident that's going to be the case. Mm-hmm. But that being said, just the visuals, Brian, think about it, of a guy that's running for president, who's been going to campaign stops and is going to be spouting to his supporters, and then the next day is going to be in a courtroom facing criminal charges, right? And a lot of those, I don't know what the availability as far as the media is going to be on all these cases, but there's still going to be, we're going to have an opportunity to see it all unfold in front of our faces. And it's not going to be like anything, Brian Shapiro, that we've ever seen before in a presidential election cycle here in 2024.
Let me give you guys a little bit of a message to my MAGA supporters out there and despicable turds and right-wing buffoons like what's his name? Clay Travis, who's a despicable human being. You're trying to put Donald Trump on a pedestal because he told the media today he was putting up $175 million cash. For all you idiots out there and you stupid Americans out there that donated money to Donald Trump's campaign, that buy his sneakers and his cultist nonsense, for those of you out there who donated money when he said he wanted to fight the voter fraud after he lost the 2020 elections, and he received hundreds of millions of dollars from some of you idiots out there that spent your money instead of paying for your child's college tuition. He put up your money. The money that he is putting up, make no mistake about it, is your money, not his money. It's the money that you idiots sent him that he didn't use to fight voter fraud and election integrity. You are basically supporting a criminal. That's what you are continuing to do, and that's what you did when you donated money to his campaign, because you bought into the nonsense and you were duped. You were duped by a con man who said that he won the 2020 election. He lied. A con man who sat in the White House on his fat ass eating KFC for 5 hours while they were chanting, "Hang Mike Pence." Oh, yeah, by the way, his former vice president is not supporting him in his upcoming run for re-election either. So I hope you all are very proud out there, especially some of you, not all of you, thank God, some of you in middle America who go into your mobile homes at night and kiss your cousin good night, maybe more, I don't know. You must be all very proud of yourselves that not only did you support a criminal, but now he's using your money to post bond, and you're still supporting a liable rapist, according to the judge that oversaw that case. You are supporting a liable rapist criminal who is going to be a convicted felon. So I hope all of you are very proud of your MAGA flags and Confederate flags, which I'm sure are right next to it. Well, as far as I'm concerned, at this point, if you still are a big Trump supporter who's donating to his campaign and you don't think he's said or done anything wrong and you consider him Superman, guess what? You can go to hell because you're not somebody I want to be associated with. I don't want to be seen with because you're all despicable and you're disgusting and you're ignorant right-wing buffoons.
So, Nunchuck, there was a lot of truth in what Brian just said there, but there also a little bit too, right, Nunchuck, of, the sarcasm dripping off the microphone for Brian Shapiro over there when it comes to, I hope you're all very happy to all the MAGA people out there. Brian, you mean all those MAGA people out there that complain about the gas prices and the prices of eggs, yet a reporter will walk up to him and say, how much did you spend on all that MAGA swag that you got on, your wardrobe that you're sporting right now at this rally? I spent about $4 or $5 grand on all these. I got the Trump sneakers, I got the T-shirts, I got the clothes, I got all the flags. I spent a solid chunk of change. Wait a minute, but you're just complaining about the gas prices.
What are you saying? You didn't buy the shoes?
I did not buy the shoes, but anyway, talk about hypocrisy is the word of the day, right, Brian? It
Oh, yeah.
really is.
Absolutely.
The hypocrisy is just overflowing, and look, we talked about it with Colorado when he called up. It is just very difficult for people like you and myself and others, and a lot of people that are on the Occupy Democrats pushing the limits text line here that are Democrats trying to make sense of what it is to be a MAGA voter. I get that a lot of you people, I say you people, okay, I'm talking about you Republicans espoused to Republican principles, right? You're conservatives. So you're in the camp of, I'm never going to vote for a Democrat. Joe Biden would never get my support. I get that. But the overall swathing and just overload of love towards Donald Trump, as if he is some everyman, as if he's like the answer. There's nobody else. We talked about this also at the top of the show, Brian. I got to chime in on this. What's going to happen when the unfortunate situation presents itself? Yes, that Donald Trump passes away, right? I'm not talking about this year, next year, a couple of years. When Donald Trump passes away,
There's some people that
when Donald Trump shuffles off this mortal coil, what are those MAGA people going to do, Brian? What are they going to do? Right? I know what people like myself who were supporters of Hillary Clinton, supporters of Barack Obama, supporters of Bill Clinton, supporters of Joe Biden. I know what we're going to do when Joe Biden shuffles off this mortal coil, right? And is no longer the president and is no longer in the spotlight as the Democratic representative of our party. I know what we're going to do. What's MAGA going to do, Brian Shapiro, when Donald Trump is no longer around to be that guy? What are they going to do?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you something. They're going to crawl back into their MAGA cave, their MAGA bunker. They're going to go back into their bunker.
I don't know what that looks like. That's weird.
They're going to go back into their bunker, and I'm going to take a page from the Donald Trump MAGA playbook. They're all pedophiles. They're all going to go back into their bunker. They all have Alzheimer's.
You're generalizing.
Yeah.
You're generalizing.
Yeah, I'm generalizing.
You are.
They all have Alzheimer's. They're all going to go into the bunker.
You're a doctor now, too.
Like I said, they're all pedophiles. That's what they're going to do. And
of course,
that could happen.
He's being tongue-in-cheek.
That could happen.
Yeah.
And by the way, some people would not characterize it as an unfortunate day if that day does happen. But I'll tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, Joe Biden's not going away. Kamala Harris ain't going away.
As far as we know.
And you're going to have a very important decision to make in November. And I think it's more than just about our economy. It's about our democracy, the way we live our lives. And, but I will give Donald Trump credit, and I know Joe Biden's giving him credit as well, as Joe Biden did congratulate Donald Trump. He said, congratulations. He said, congratulations, Donald. Quite the accomplishment, because Donald Trump did win the senior club championship at his local golf course. So I do want to give him credit for that. It's quite the accomplishment.
By the way, Brian, real quick here, in that social post, did I see that wrong? Half of it was like in capitals, and the rest of it was in lowercase.
That's nuts.
Like, what is the deal with this guy?
He's crazy.
Like, it doesn't make any sense.
I think he's
Weird.
got dementia and he's in the bunker. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for joining us, everybody. Conservative talk show host David Pollack will be joining us on the show tomorrow, as well as candidate for office Eva Chase will be joining us as well. Chris, thank you so much for being here. Over 10,000 people watching the show live today. I appreciate all of you. Please subscribe to my YouTube page at PTL Radio Show. My YouTube page at PTL Radio Show. It's free. It's where I put most of my content up there. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Thanks for Chris for being here. We'll see you tomorrow.